And the stakes continue to get bigger as we move into the Final Four round of the Alabama High School Athletic Association State Baseball Playoffs. I am David Sharp, Deep South Supervisor, along with our Alabama Scouting Director, Austin Sharp. We appreciate you tuning in on Tuesday morning. We've been moving this around a little bit to accommodate schedules, getting out and seeing teams. And like I mentioned, starting out, man, it only gets bigger and better with each passing week. It is a fun time to go to the baseball park now. I mean, it's the atmospheres that we see, the atmospheres that, fans create and teams create, man, it makes it so enjoyable to get out and see as many games on our side. Speaking of that, man, Austin, I don't know. Austin, you don't look tired or like you didn't get enough sleep, but I could very well understand if you were dragging a little bit this morning because you made a trek south from your house last night with two wild games, huh?
Yeah, I'm a night owl anyway, so I go to bed late anyways. But yeah, it was a long few days, especially for those Auburn and Enterprise fans. But I actually went to Aub and Oak Grove at Aub, which is about 30 minutes from Enterprise on last Thursday, which feels like a week ago, which because it is close to, and had plans to go stay in Enterprise and go watch Auburn and Enterprise on Friday, and actually saw the Auburn team had Buffalo Wild Wings on a Thursday night in Enterprise. So they came down Thursday night and then woke up Friday morning in Enterprise and it was going to wash. So packed my stuff up, headed north for Broward Christian in Elmore County, and that was a good series. And Saturday went to Game 3 of Central and Dothan, and then on Mondays, everybody knows that Auburn and Enterprise series kept getting pushed back. It ultimately started yesterday. They played Game 1 and 2 at Troy, and I put it out on my personal account, but those were two of the best games that I've been to all spring. Enterprise won Game 1, 4-3. It was 3-3 after one inning, and then just both pitching staffs really, threw up zeros for back and forth, throwing up zeros, and then it got to the bottom of the eighth where Enterprise loaded the bases with one out. They had a line drive to short and tried to double the guy off at second, deflected off the runner, and kicked into the outfield. But that Game 2, it felt Enterprise got up 3-0 to start the game, and it kind of felt like Enterprise is going to roll, and they ended up getting up 8-3 going to the bottom of the sixth. Auburn down to their last 6 outs, and the Tigers rallied for 7 runs in the bottom of the sixth, and then got 3 quick outs in the top of the seventh, and now they're meeting again. They're meeting again today. Was supposed to be at Enterprise, but I guess they got rain down there, and they're going to be back at Troy for Game 3. So that's we've still got one series that's still going on, and there's some series that get started today. But those were two great games last night. So gonna be following that one.
We were in a group chat last night and, chatting back and forth, and there were 2 separate occasions, and I was following along on Game Changer, getting some work done. And me and another guy both had to text Austin and said, what just happened? Because it was hard to follow, on Game Changer, because it doesn't show you the small ins and outs. It just tells you that so-and-so lined out and, and all that stuff. But that was really impressive. And then you last night when Auburn started making that run, you put in that group text starting to get interesting, and I responded and put, and they're getting to the top of that Auburn lineup, and those 2 guys at the top came through. I mean, and more than just those 2 guys, but you knew it was going to get real interesting when the top of that Auburn lineup rolled back around there in the bottom of the sixth, and obviously helped lead them to a big comeback win there. So it's going to be a good one tonight, no doubt about it. But
two big. I mean, it's a Game 3, but you would think Brady Sack would throw for Auburn, and then you would think Brady Kavanaugh would throw for Enterprise. And then at the start of the year, you would say that's both teams' ace.
Game 1. That's a Game 1 matchup, man.
Yeah,
no doubt.
So we'll see.
Yeah. So that was that's going to be interesting to follow. But we're going to go ahead and get into our playoff preview for the Final Four. We're looking forward to getting out and about the next few days. Obviously, I guess it goes without saying every week we start the show off with, people, we could care less who wins. We're not trying to, disrespect your team or whatever. We just do this to bring a light to high school baseball. Before we do get cranked up, though, I'm gonna look back at last week. Austin, you okay if I do this? Or
Yeah, I'm just mailing my picks in at this point.
I hear you. Last week in 1A, I was 3-1 in 1A. Austin was 4-0. In 2A, I was 4-0. Austin was 3-1. In 3A, I was 4-0. We were both 4-0 in 3A. In 4A, I was 3-1, and Austin was 2-2. In 5A, I was 4-0. Austin was 3-1. In 6A, I was 4-0. Austin was 3-1. And then in 7A, and there's a little asterisk by this because of that series that's still ongoing, I was 2-1 while Austin was 1-2. So I only lost 3 games last week. It's funny how
you won't tip your cap, but you won't compliment yourself. But 24-3 is pretty dang good.
Yeah, but it's the ones that you miss that you hear about.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Winning 24 of 27.
I thought you were going to go 27-0.
I guess I should have. I guess that's the only way to keep people quiet. But no, it's all good. We thoroughly enjoy it. Going back, Austin, I was 24-3. Austin was 20-7. And listen, man, 20-7 is good. This is tough, man. And again, it's going to be the same thing this week and even more difficult because we've got some absolute mega matchups. And I was skimming over these last night. And out of the 28 teams that will be left, I know right now there's 29 due to the Auburn and Enterprise situation. But out of the 28 teams that will be playing for a state championship this weekend, we all but one of those we had ranked in the final preseason poll, and that's University Charter. And kudos to them, man. They've got a big series coming up. But without further ado, man, let's go ahead and roll right into it with our 1A picks and our 1A matchups. Let me go back here. All right, sorry, there got a text had to do me off for a little bit. All right, 1A. Man, remember when we were doing 96 of these?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, now we've cut that down. I think we're now at 14. So in 1A, man, you've got a big-time matchup in the North. You've got a number 1 versus number 2 matchup for the right to get to Jacksonville and Oxford to play for a state championship. You've got Appalachian, who comes in with a record of 27-3. They will be on the road at number 1 Hubbardsville with the overall record of 23-6. So you've got number 2 at number 1. These two teams have been in the top of our 1A top 10 all season long. Appalachian got here by beating a very good Addison team, a ranked Addison team, by scores of 4-2 and 11-5 last week. Hubbardsville took care of Athens Bible by scores of 9-5 and 7-3. So both of these teams are coming in off of a sweep. Let's take a look at how Appalachian got here in those two games. In game 1, Caleb Kahn got the complete game win, going 7 innings, giving up only 2 earned runs, and that was an Addison team that I had talked about the offensive firepower. So to hold that team to 2 runs was really impressive. He also struck out 3 over the course of that game. Cole Smith was 2 for 4. Sam Stidham also added a double. All right. They did score 1 run in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th innings. So, that was a 4-2 final score. That was a tightly contested game. They were able to add on in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th for that final 4-2 margin. And then in game 2, that 11-5 win, they scored 8 runs over the last 3 innings as they actually trailed coming to bat in the 5th. They actually trailed 4-3, but then as I mentioned, they pushed across 8 runs, 11 runs. I'm sorry. All right. No, 8 runs. That's right. They pushed across 8 runs, ended up winning 11-5. Cole Smith, after his 2-hit performance in game 1, went a complete game, 7 innings with 4 strikeouts. He also contributed 2 more hits at the plate with an RBI. Sam Stidham, after that double in the first game, followed it up with a 2-for-4 performance with 2 runs driven in. And Connor Cassidy was 2-for-3 with the home run. And Colton Caldwell had a 2 RBI single. They will be, as I mentioned, on the road at Hubbardsville, who swept Athens Bible, as we mentioned. In game 1, they trailed 3-2 in the bottom of the 5th, but they went on to score 7 runs to get to that 9-run total. So both of these teams trailed or were in very tight games late. Blaze Wakefield, a young man that we talked about last week, went 7 innings, complete game win, struck out 7. Kane Rushing had a single and 2 RBIs, and then 4 other players had a single each. In game 2, again, another tightly contested game. In game 2, they were tied 1-1 in the top of the 6th. They scored 4 in the 6th and 2 in the 7th to push that final margin to 7-3. Landon Dodd went the complete game, all 7 innings with giving up 2 earned runs while striking out 3. He also added a 2 RBI single at the plate. Braylon Hill was 2-for-4 with the double. Seth Hollingsworth had a good weekend last weekend as well in the Elite 8 round, in the Sweet 16 round, was 2-for-3 with an RBI. And Carter Brand also added a triple. Man, I mean, these two teams are just alike. I mean, you've got number 1, you've got number 2. Appalachian has lost 3 games all year. Hubbardsville 6 games all year. They both were in very similar series this past weekend. They both had to fight to get to this point. They both faced quality teams last week. This is you know what? And I'm going to try to keep from saying this throughout the show. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but this is a toss up. This is a coin toss. We're forced to make a pick. I'm not comfortable picking Hubbardsville. I'm not comfortable picking Appalachian. These are 2 teams that can, every team available, every team that's still playing can win a state championship. I don't know why, man. I'm going to go with, and I think it goes back to the strength of the wins this past weekend. And without giving my pick away, I'm going to sweeping that Addison team really, really turned my head, because I thought that was a team capable of winning the whole thing. I'm going to go with, it's not an upset, but I'm going to go with the road team. I'm going to go Appalachian, but again, this is a toss-up. I've got to make a pick. I'm going to go Appalachian, and I think, again, going back to a sweep of Addison really carries a lot of weight with me. So I'm going to go with the visiting team this week.
This is I know there are a few 1 versus 2 matchups this week. I know there are a couple, not sure how many, but had 1 versus 2 last week in 4A. But I'll go, man. I gotta make up 13 games somehow. I'm gonna go with start trying to chip away. I'll go with Hubbardsville. Give me Hubbardsville at home, our top ranked team. These are, these were 2 of the most consistent teams all season long in 1A, and both, Hubbardsville had a good run last year. Appalachian, is a consistent power in 1A. These are 2 obviously really good teams. When you're getting to the Final Four, these are every team here is good. But this is another big time matchup. I'll go with Hubbardsville, and we'll split this one. So we'll split this one, our first one, and we'll move to the South, where we have number 4 Fayetteville going on the road to University Charter. You mentioned of the, what is it? 28 teams who have made it to the Final Four. Just the one team, University Charter, was the one team that was just outside the top 10. Fayetteville comes in at 19-18. Out Charter is at 20-13. How both these teams got here? We'll start with Fayetteville. They had took 2 out of 3 last week against Maplesville. They won game 1 7-4, lost game 2 7-3. And then won game 3 7-5, and that game 1 win over Maplesville 7-4. Ethan Jones went 6 2/3, got the win, gave up just 1 earned run, and struck out 10. He also was 2 for 3 with a double and a home run at the plate. Braden Wood was 2 for 4 and drove in a run, while Aiden Hernandez had 3 hits with 2 RBIs. Eli Burns was 2 for 3. Blake McDaniel added a solo home run, and Brenton Cantrell had a 2-run home run for the Wolves to pace them to that 7-4 win. They got beat 7-3 in game 2 and then turned around in the deciding game 3. They were down going to the 6th. They were down 5-1 and scored 4 in the top of the 6th and then 2 in the 7th to win 7-5. So big come from behind win late in that game 3 over Maplesville. Carter Goins went 7 innings and went the distance, giving up 6 hits and no earned runs. He struck out 7. The Wolves had 6 hits, 6 players with 1 hit. Britton Cantrell had a big solo home run in the 7th, and Eli Burns also added a home run for Fayetteville to pace them to the 7-5 win. For University Charter last week, they took 2 out of 3 against Millery. They lost game 1 9-6, and then turned around and really commanded that series from then on, winning game 2 10-1 and game 3 7-1. In that 10-1 game, in that 10-1 win in game 2, Michael Gibson went 7 innings, gave up just 1 hit, no earned runs, and struck out 11. He also added a double at the plate. Braden Murray, and it was doing these recaps for each round. It was a sweep for University Charter last week. Michael Gibson earned the top pitcher performance for that 7-inning, 11 strikeout performance. And then Braden Murray, I forget what the combined line was, but in game 2, he was 4 for 5, had a double and drove in 5 runs. Landon McClure was 2 for 4 with an RBI. Caleb Reed had 2 hits and an RBI. And then Josiah DeBose had a RBI triple. That evened up the series at 1-1. And then University Charter won game 3 7-1. Tip Smith went the distance, was throwing 7 innings, giving up 6 hits, no earned runs, and 4 strikeouts. Josiah DeBose, again, was 2 for 4 with a double and a pair of RBIs. Michael Gibson was 2 for 4. Braden Murray added a triple and 3 RBIs. And then Landon McClure had a triple for University Charter. This may not have the fire, 2 versus 1. That's definitely going to catch your attention. But this is another series where it's 2 teams who are evenly matched, coming in playing really hot. Fayetteville, have talked about the Wolves all season long. They've played the tough schedule for this time to reap the benefits of a deep playoff run, and here they are, 2 wins away from advancing to the state championship. But University Charter as well, same could be said for them. Reaching that 20-win mark, playing a quality schedule, and appear to be peaking at the right time, and have taken down some quality teams all the way to this round. You look at Fayetteville, the ability to, that's in what game 1, they had guys who can consistently run the ball out of the ballpark. They can hit for power, and they've showed, with Ethan Jones and Carter Goins last week, to be able to pitch the ball and get complete game efforts from their starting pitchers. And then for University Charter, Braden Murray being a huge piece in the middle of that order, driving in runs at a premium. I think he ended up with 8 RBIs last week. And then you mentioned, Josiah DeBose, Landon McClure, and just the contributions that they get from guys up and down that lineup. This is another toss-up. I'm going to go with Fayetteville, just simply because we've built them up seemingly across the whole season. But it's going to be a tough test, maybe possibly their toughest test, having to go on the road to University Charter. I did see where they played. I think University Charter played game 3 at West Alabama. So not sure if this series will be at West Alabama or not, but I'll go with Fayetteville going on the road. And I'm sure it'll be a hostile environment. But Fayetteville's gone and played on the road this in this playoff run. They've played some really good teams, but this is a toss-up. I'm going to go with Fayetteville.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I was just sitting here double checking this. University Charter, you mentioned it, man. They are playing. They're playing they've been very consistent back half of the season into the playoffs. You talk about Michael Gibson. You look at that game 2 performance he had with 11 punch-outs. That's after throwing 2 innings of relief in game 1. So he actually threw 9 innings that day and was well under his pitch count. And then you've got Tip Smith, who gave him that complete game in game 3. You've got the Dubose brothers there. Jonah and Josiah, both are two-way talents. I think Jonah, I believe it is, got the start in game 1. I'm almost certain of that. I might be wrong, but I believe Josiah was the one that relieved him in game 1. So there's some pitching depth for University Charter. You look over at Fayetteville with Ethan Jones, Carter Goins, some other arms they have. This is an interesting series. You said it. It's going to be a raucous atmosphere. I went with University Charter last week. I want to go with them this week as well at home, but I'm going to go with Fayetteville, man. We've talked. You mentioned it. We've talked about that team all year. Big time series coming up. Going to be one to follow. You can say it for every series. It's going to be an exciting brand of baseball, but I'm going to go with Fayetteville as well. So that will get us through 1A and get us straight into 2A. In 2A, this first one begins today. It's one that I'm going to be headed out at shortly.
I think they both start today.
Yes, they do. That's right. They both start today. And we're going to have a guy at Ayrton GW Long as well. So we'll be covering both of these series starting today. I was told yesterday that I better get to Red Bay early. So I'm going to be making my way over there pretty soon after not after lunch sometime. This game gets cranked up at 4:30 today. But you've got a 2 versus 5 matchup in the north, and you've got a 1 versus 3 matchup in the south, man. I mean, it's about as big as it gets here. Let's look at the north matchup first. You've got Mars Hill Bible at 28-10, ranked number 2. They're coming off a 3-game series win over Lindsay Lane. Christian, I think Lindsay Lane was number 4. Excuse me. Lindsay Lane was number 4. Lindsay Lane defeated Mars Hill in game 1, 1-0. Mars Hill was able to come back and win game 2, 6-2. I'm almost certain that was in 8 innings. And then in game 3, Mars Hill was able to win that 11-6. Mars Hill was pretty close from being eliminated there in game 2. I know that. I talked with Coach Morrison at Lindsay Lane, and he was telling me, just how intense that series was. Again, great year from Lindsay Lane, but Mars Hill was able to win that series. In game 2, Brooks Campbell making a rather long start. I think it was his longest start of the season. He went 6 1/3 on the mound, gave up 4 hits, no earned runs, and struck out 9 in that 6-2 8-inning victory. Noah Handback, man, he had his games 2 and 3. Noah Handback was the man, I guess you can say. Handback did get the win in relief. He went 1 inning, gave up a hit, no runs, no walks, and a K. He also added an RBI triple. That was in game 2. Malin Moore, impressive 2028 shortstop, went 2 for 3 with an RBI double. Cody Willis was 2 for 4 with a triple and a double. And Christian O'Rear added a double as well in game 2, which forced that deciding game 3. In that deciding game 3, Mars Hill trailed 4-2 in the bottom of the 4th, and they scored 9 combined runs in the 4th, 5th, and 6th innings. So that's how they were able to stretch that lead or that deciding 11-6 score out. We talked about Noah Handback in game 2. He also got the win in relief again in game 3. He went 3 innings, gave up 1 hit, no runs, and struck out 3. He was also 3 for 3 with 2 doubles and a run driven in. Bo Willis was 2 for 4 with the 2 RBI double. Cody Willis was 2 for 4 with an RBI double. Carson Wynn was 3 for 4. Luke Fowler was 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs. And Christian O'Rear added 2 hits in 3 plate appearances, driving in another run. So, talked about that Mars Hill offensive lineup all year. You can see the depth there pretty much. On the other side, you've got Red Bay. They will be hosting today. They come in at number 5 with a 25-6 record. They defeated North Sand Mountain last week. Games 1 and 2 by a score of 4-3 and 13-5. If you were on our podcast last week, they bumped that series up and we didn't know it. So that was the beauty of live production. But Red Bay did get that sweep over North Sand Mountain. In game one, Red Bay trailed 3-2 in the bottom of the seventh, and they scored 2 to win it. A sac fly by Riley Carpenter tied it up at 3-3, and then a walk-off hit by pitch to Landon Louie was the deciding 4-3 score. So again, added 2 in the bottom of the seventh to win that one 4-3. Carson McGee, yet again, with another complete game, scattering 5 hits on 1 earned run and 9 strikeouts. He was 2 for 4 at the plate with the double. Riley Carpenter, we mentioned him with that sac fly to tie things up in the bottom of the seventh. He was also 2 for 2 with 3 RBIs, and Sawyer Humphreys added a double. In game two, Jeremiah Thorne, we've heard that name forever, it seems like, man. Just quality outing after quality outing for Red Bay. Jeremiah Thorne, a complete game win, much like McGee. He had 10 punch-outs and was 2 for 4 with the home run in that 13-5 win. Jackson Swan was 2 for 3 with an RBI. Riley Carpenter was 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs. Again, following up that 2 for 2, 3 RBI performance in game one. Aiden Pruitt was 2 for 4 with an RBI double. Landon Louie was 2 for 3. Davo Colburn was 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs. And Sawyer Humphreys was 2 for 5 with an RBI. Listen, man, big time series. That's why I'm getting there early today. I don't mind saying this. Yesterday, I talked with Coach Willingham on the phone, and we were just talking about some things, some of his players, and, talking about the Lindsay Lane series. And then I told him I'd be headed there today. And here's what I described to Coach Willingham. I think this is strength versus strength. And when I say strength versus strength, I don't mean that the only thing Mars Hill can do is hit, because they can pitch it, they can defend. All right, every team here that's left can play. All right, but I do think that their strength is depth in the offensive lineup. I've said it before numerous times. Mars Hill's approach to hit the ball to all fields, especially that backside gap, speaks volumes for them. I think that's their strength. Red Bay, on the other hand, while they can score plenty of runs, they have proved that, they really rely on those big time arms that they've got. So you've got strength versus strength here. And, I think that's going to be the deciding factor. I'm not going to say runs are going to be at a premium, because I said it last week for a series and it backfired on me. But I think that's the matchup within the matchup here. Those Red Bay arms versus that depth in the offensive lineup at Mars Hill. Normally, I'm going to go pitching, but I'm going to side with Mars Hill in this matchup. I've said it all year. I love watching them. Now, I don't expect them to go out and score 6 or 8 runs. That's not something I expect. They're going to have to. They're probably going to be forced to small ball and manufacture some runs against McGee, and those other arms there. Jeremiah Thorne. They can beat anybody on any given day. Both of these teams have been top 5, 6, somewhere in that neighborhood all year long. I don't know for what reason, but I'm going to go Mars Hill in this matchup.
I'm going to go with Mars Hill as well. I'm going to go with the Panthers. They just have that championship pedigree. Feels like that. They've I think 2 years ago, was it them and Ayrton made it to the state final, and these two teams have. This is the third consecutive year both these teams meet up. I don't know if you remember that series last year. Went to game 3, and all 3 games were decided by 1 run. So, and a good bit of that, those 2 teams are back for both of these teams. So these are two teams that are pretty familiar with each other. And the year before, Mars Hill was able to win that series. So maybe third time's the charm for Red Bay. It'll be a dogfight, and I'm sure it'll be packed, raucous crowd at Red Bay. So I'll be excited to follow that one. But I'm going to go with Mars Hill Bible as well, and just.
I've made one trip to Red Bay, man, and I got there and the bottom dropped out. So thankfully, there's no rain in the forecast today.
Yeah. Yep. So we'll both go with the Panthers. Our next matchup, maybe not a bigger matchup across the state this week. You have number 3 Ayrton going on the road to top-ranked GW Long. Bitter rivals, area rivals. This has just been it's just regularly scheduled program. Both of these two teams meeting up in the Final Four. I don't know what how many times I know it's happened a lot. I don't have the exact numbers, but it feels like every single year coming out of the South, it's these two teams going head to head. Looking at how both these teams got here, we'll start with number 3 Ayrton, who comes in at 30-7. They swept Reeltown last week. That series got moved to Elmore County. In game 1, winning 5-2. Easton Kilpatrick went 5 innings and got the win and allowed 2 earned runs, striking out 3. Brody Lowry was 2 for 3 with a double and an RBI. Addison Sin added 2 hits with an RBI, and Bryson Rhett added a double and 2 RBIs for the Purple Cats. And then they turned around in game 2 and won 9-4. That game was tied 4-4 going to the bottom of the 6th, and they scored 5 to really push away and clinch that series win, 9-4. Addison Sin went 7 innings, got the complete game win, allowed 3 hits, 2 earned runs, and struck out 13. So that gives him
30.
14. Last 14 innings, struck out 30. Going back to that outing last week where he struck out 17 in 7 innings. Pierce Gill was 2 for 2 with an RBI. Bryson Rhett once again was 2 for 2 and drove in a run. Easton Kilpatrick had an RBI double, and Wells Gainey had a 2 RBI triple for the Purple Cats. For top-ranked GW Long, who comes in at 29-7. Last week they swept Tuscaloosa Academy. In game 1, they actually trailed 5-4 in the bottom of the 5th. The Rebels were able to score 2 runs and get six outs to win that game 1 6-5. Lawson German went 6 innings, got the win, and struck out 4. The Rebels had 6 players who each had 1 hit. Aiden Meeks had the go-ahead 2-run double in the bottom of the 5th, while Blaine Wood and Zion Marshall each had a double for the Rebels to win 6-5. And then in game 2, GW Long won 9-4. Blaine Wood went 4 innings, gave up 3 hits, 1 earned run, and struck out 6. He was also 2 for 4 at the plate with a double, a home run, and an RBI. Zion Marshall, 8th grader, added 2 hits. Lawson German was 2 for 3 with a double and an RBI. Even Pritchett went an inning and a third on the mound. He gave up 1 hit, no runs, and struck out all 4 of the outs that he got. He was also 2 for 4 with an RBI, and Bryce Smith was 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. These are area foes. This met up in the area series to determine the area champion and runner-up a few weeks ago. GW Long was able to win that series 2 out of 3. GW Long won game 1 on April 14th, 7-6. And then on Thursday, that doubleheader, Ayrton won game 2, 4-2. And then in that tiebreaker, game 3 to determine the area championship and runner-up, Ayrton won GW Long won 5-3. So this series will be at GW Long. These are I've said it once before. These two teams this is, like I said, it's a regularly scheduled program, and 2A, these teams are expected to meet up in the semifinals, and we certainly had this matchup pegged for quite some time. These have been 2 of the top teams in the state in Class 2A. I'm gonna go with Ayrton. Give me the Purple Cats to go on the road. I know. I'll go with Ayrton. I think the X factor for them is I don't think Addison Sin earlier in that area series with GW Long, I don't think he had his best outing. Seems like he's really started to put it together and find something these last few weeks. I think he's an X factor. If he throws the ball well for Ayrton, it just boosts their, it just gives them another arm, and he's one of their top arms, obviously. So I'm going to go with Ayrton. It's you're picking against GW Long going on the road in the late playoff rounds. That probably doesn't have a a high winning percentage. But I'll go with Ayrton, and I'll move on.
Yeah, Ayrton, man, that offensive depth, man, has really shown its strength of late. And then you mention it, you put Addison Sin in there with the other arms that they've got. I mean, it's just absolute wipeout stuff, man. And that, that absolutely leads you to believe that, Ayrton can very well be on their way to a 2A state title, man. Just really, I mean, they have flexed their muscles of late. They've been as impressive as anybody. And so, it's really easy, to take Ayrton because of what they've done. But I'm going to flip it up. I'm going to go with the Rebels of GW Long. And I don't know why. I don't know why I am. And I think it has to do with just listen, man, either one of these teams can win this. I mean, it's hard to pick either one of them. But I just think that it's at home. They took 2 of 3 from them early in the season. It was 3 really good games. And I'm going to go with GW Long simply because I have to pick someone. And you mentioned it. It's hard to go against them, but you said it with Bob Jones when I played Vestavia. If anybody can get it done, it was Bob Jones. Well, if anybody can dethrone one of the absolute small town powers of high school baseball in GW Long, it's Ayrton. And I think Ayrton absolutely can win this series. But I don't know why. I'm going to go GW Long. I maybe it's just historical. I don't know. But Ayrton has that history as well. And Ayrton, again, they've been as hot as anybody in the state, regardless of
state title 2 years ago.
Yep, state title 2 years ago. That's exactly right. All that purple and yellow showed up there at Chocolaco, man. It was packed out. So again, 2 small powers going at it. It's the way it should be. This is a state championship level matchup, as is Mars Hill and Red Bay. But we're going to split this one. I'm going to go GW Long. You go Ayrton. Gets us to 3A. In 3A, you've got a top 4 matchup. I mean, look here, in 3A, you've got 4 playing 2, and you've got 5 playing 1. The stakes just continue to get larger. Let's take a look at that North matchup. You've got number 4, the Bulldogs of Piedmont. They come in at 29-6 after sweeping Oakman last week by scores of 5-2 and 15-3 in 6 innings. I do want to. I think we try to say this every week, but Piedmont does not have a game changer. So we go to the team they played, and they have numbers in there. So we try to get the numbers, and then we try to match it up with a Piedmont roster that we search online. So if there's a name wrong here, please bear with us because we're having to do a little bit more work to get these names. But let's take a look at Piedmont. And you said this before. I think we know one of them for sure. In game 1, Cole Austin, complete game win, 7 innings, 2 earned runs, 5 strikeouts. He also added a double and walked twice at the plate. Jackson Howard was 2 for 3. Alex Bass had a 2 RBI double. And Carson Cleveland had a single with 3 RBIs in that 5-2 win over Oakman. In game 2, Piedmont was able to stretch this one out and again finished it in 6 innings. Crawford Millette went 4 innings in relief, scattering 3 hits and 1 earned run. He struck out 8 over those 4 1/3. William Hurst, and that might be Ben Hurst. I'm not sure. Again, please bear with me.
I think yeah.
Okay, yeah. He was 2 for 5 with 4 RBIs. Cole Austin, 3 for 4 with a double and 3 RBIs. Carson Cleveland, 3 for 5 with a double. Benjamin Dempsey, 3 for 5 with an RBI. Ethan Tidwell had an RBI double. Carson Sanders was a perfect 3 for 3. Eli Johnson was 2 for 4 with an RBI. And Alejandre Wright had a double. I mean, you look at that depth there. I mean, that's multiple hits, extra base hits for just about everyone in their lineup. Again, and they scored 20 runs over 2 games. And so, that's an offensive team. They will be on the road at number 2, Gordo. The Green Wave, as I mentioned, finished the season ranked number 2. They come in with an impressive 30-8 record after sweeping number 3 Collinsville last week by scores of 9-6 and then 21-3 in 5 innings. that 21-3 margin really turned heads. It really got our attention because they were playing a very good Collinsville team. In game one, Colin Pate went CG, giving up 5 earned runs. He struck out 3. At the plate, he also added a double as one of his 3 hits. Noah McDaniel went 3 for 4 with a 2 RBI double. Brody Crow was 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. McCain Robertson had a 2 RBI double to account for those 9 runs in that 9-6 win. In game 2, again, a 21-3 5-inning game. Ryder Robertson went complete game, going all 5 innings, only giving up 2 earned runs while striking out 4. Rainer Russell was 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. McCain Robertson, once again, 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. Bennett Troll, 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs. Brody Crow. Brody Crow had a what's that?
Brody Croyle.
Yeah, but Brody Croyle's son actually is on the team at Westbrook Christian. So, yeah, sure is. So Brody Crow had a single and 3 RBIs, and then Wes Pate added 3 more RBIs in that 21-3 win. Man, this is 2 juggernauts in athletics. Gordo, their entire athletic department is, both these teams, their entire athletic departments should be commended for the, for what they put into athletics. Piedmont every year seems like, football, baseball, basketball. Football, baseball, I think you hear more of. Same thing for Gordo, football, baseball. Their basketball team's good, among other things. We don't want to go take a deep dive into their athletic department. But my point is, these 2 teams and these 2 programs and these 2 schools are used to winning. These are 2 heavyweights in 3A. I like that Piedmont team. They have been very consistent all year. They've been in the heart of our 3A rankings, as they are every single year. And then you look over at Gordo, same thing. They've been the top 3 or 4 all year long as well. Just been both these teams. You come in at 29-6 and 30-8. That says enough. There's really not much else that needs to be said. This is a hard pick, but I'm gonna side with the blue cooler, and I don't know, possible flyover this week.
Got to be a flyover.
Got to be a flyover for the Final Four. Man, I'm going to go with the green wave of Gordo. It's going. I do know that it doesn't get much better than atmospheres than at Gordo when it's playoff baseball time. I do know that for a fact. Piedmont will bring a ton of people. It will be packed out. It'll be a great series, but I can't go against the green wave. They flexed their muscles last week against Collinsville. That was impressive. That was as impressive as anybody across the state sweeping them. We had that pegged as a 3-game set. That's what we thought of Collinsville. But again, I could go on and on. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna go with the green wave and turn it over to you, Austin.
Yeah, these are 2 juggernauts. Gordo and Piedmont in the semifinals kind of gets the blood flowing. Those are 2 powerhouses in 3A in whatever sport. I'm going to go with Gordo as well. I just feel like the green wave has been a machine this season, and especially in the playoffs. Last week was about as big of a statement win that you could have. You went into depth about it, especially that game 2 win. But man, Piedmont again has had an incredible season as well. These are 2. These are. It just feels like Team A and Team B. These are 2. Feels like mirror images of each other going against each other in the semis. I'll go with Gordo here, being at home. You mentioned that raucous environment that I'm sure it'll be at Gordo. I'm going to go with the green wave, and certainly don't not a lot of conviction behind it, just because Piedmont has had a 29-6. Cole Austin and the guys that you talked about. This will be a highly competitive series. Could see it going either way, but we will both side with Gordo and see how it unfolds this week. Our matchup in the South in Class 3A, a big time rivalry here in the central part of the state. You've got number 5 Lee Scott Academy going on the road to number 1 Glenwood. Lee Scott comes in at 26-11. Glenwood is 30-8. How both these teams got here? Start with Lee Scott last week. And Lee Scott, we've talked about Lee Scott's ability to pitch the ball, and they've certainly done that behind their top 2 starters and the pitching depth that they have behind them. But they've really flexed their muscles offensively these past couple of weeks. Going back to that Thorsby series, they beat St. James in the first round, but I think that was like a 4-1 and a 4-3 game. And against Thorsby 2 weeks ago, they put up 17 runs in game 1. And then last week against Thomasville, they won game 1 20-1 in 5 innings, and then game 2 10-1. So they are putting up big time numbers offensively and getting that offense rolling here as they get into the late rounds. And then they're getting the pitching that they expected, and they're rolling right now. In that game 1 20-1 win, Braden Martin went 4 innings, gave up 2 hits, 1 earned run, and 6 strikeouts. Preston Hughley and Harrison Snow were both 2 for 2. Hughley drove in 3 runs on a double, and Harrison Snow had an RBI double. Jack Fuquay was 2 for 2 and drove in 2 runs. Ryland Smith had a huge week, going 3 for 4 in game 1 with a home run and 6 RBIs. And then Ethan Hardy again had a 3-run home run. Was really impressive when we saw him against Thorsby last week. And then in game 2, winning 10-1, Barrett Cook went CG, 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, and 9 strikeouts. He also added a solo home run. Harrison Snow, once again, was 2 for 4 with a double and 2 RBIs. Ethan Hardy was 2 for 4 and had an RBI double. Ryland Smith, once again, was 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a double. Luke Donaldson was 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs, and Preston Hughley added a double for Lee Scott. For Glenwood, who comes in at 30-8, the defending state champs in 3A. Last week, they swept Altamont by scores of 14-2 and 13-6. That 14-2 win was in 5 innings. I think that game got started on Wednesday. They played 4 innings, and it came big storms came through, so they picked back up on Thursday and coasted to that series sweep over the Altamont. In game 1, winning 14-2, Cooper Favors threw 3 innings, gave up 2 hits, no earned runs. He obviously his outing was cut short due to the weather. Cam Dawson was 2 for 3. Hudson Campbell was 3 for 4 with an RBI. Cal Lawrence added an RBI double. Sawyer Moss was 2 for 3 with a double and 3 RBIs. Asher Long had a double and 2 RBIs, and Cade Cox added a 2 RBI single for the Gators. In game 2, winning 13-6, Red English went 4 innings, gave up 2 hits, 2 earned runs, and 3 strikeouts. Trey Clarity came in behind him and got the final 9 outs. He went 3 innings, gave up 2 earned runs and 4 strikeouts. He was also 2 for 5 at the plate and drove in 3 runs. Cam Dawson, once again, was a perfect 3 for 3 with an RBI. Cade Cox was 3 for 4 and drove in a run. Carter Judah had a double, and Hudson Campbell had a 2 RBI single to win 13-6 and advance to the Final Four. Much like the Ayrton and GW Long series, this is another semifinal series that pits 2 arch rivals. Both teams about separated by 45 minutes from each other. They met up in area play. Glenwood was able to sweep that series back on April 19th. Glenwood won 2-0 in game 1, and then on the 20th they won 15-5 in game 2, and then game 3 was won 9-2. So they won all 3 games. But again, I mentioned it, Lee Scott, this feels like a team who comes in rolling, especially on the offensive side. You know what you're going to get on the mound from Martin and Cook and McIsaac coming in relief, and they haven't really haven't had to use many arms to get to this point in the playoffs. So their starters have really led the way, and kind of same could be said for Glenwood. But I'm going to go with Glenwood here. And I think this is a series that I plan to be at that starts tomorrow at Glenwood. This is it's fun to watch Glenwood, man. They've got the big guys in the middle of that order. with Cal Lawrence, Carter Judah, Hudson Campbell. But they are they are not afraid to put a bunt down. They get a leadoff guy on. He's at second. 90% of the time they play fundamental baseball. It's a fun brand of baseball to watch. They in a different ways, but the competition takes a step up this week with Lee Scott Academy playing the Warriors. This will be a great series. Excited to be there tomorrow, but I'm going to go with Glenwood.
Yeah, I'm going to go Glenwood as well. And again, it's not one that you're comfortable taking because, we saw him 2 weeks ago firsthand. Lee Scott, very impressive, and didn't see this past series, but obviously scoring 30 runs and only giving up 2 runs to a quality Thomasville team speaks volumes. I think that, I think Lee Scott's still looking to get over that hump with Glenwood, just to be perfectly honest with you. And this Lee Scott team is absolutely 100% very they are plenty. They are more than good enough to beat Glenwood. I mean, absolutely. This is, this goes back to just about all the other series that we've talked about. Lee Scott can absolutely go in and win this one. They will rely on that pitching, but you talked about the offenses come on. But Glenwood, excuse me, you mentioned they're fun to watch. And I think that's also difficult to coach against because they keep you on your toes with small ball, being able to manufacture different runs, getting a guy on here, are they going to hit and run early? Going to get him over via bunt, and their arms will keep them in the games. There's no doubt about that. So I think maybe Glenwood may be a little bit more complete. I don't know. But this will be one to watch. And again, no disrespect to Lee Scott. We know how good they are. We've seen them. I'm going to go Glenwood as well to get back to the Jacksonville Oxford area to defend a state title. But we'll see how this plays out. So getting straight to 4A. In 4A, man, you've got, we'll start in the north. You've got a top 10 matchup. You've got number 2 Westbrook. Westbrook Christian comes in at 24-9. They will be on the road at number 10 Central of Florence, who comes in with a 27-12 record. Let's take a look at how these teams got here. Westbrook Christian, you talked about a 1 versus 2 matchup last week, and here it is. Westbrook Christian was able to sweep number 1 Deschler 10-8 and 9-4. And I will go on record by saying this right now. On the podcast a week ago, I said that runs will be hard to come by in this series. Boy, was I wrong. I mean, and that was the talk of the, in between games as you're walking around talking to different people, people were like, man, I never would have thought 18 runs would be scoring that game. And I said, yeah, I agree. I publicly said it. But then you look and, I mean, there were 31 runs scored in 2 games between those 2 teams, man. And again, they both have good pitching. I mean, it's not that Westbrook Christian scored 19 runs on some bad arms from Deschler. They were good arms. Same thing for Westbrook Christian. They've got elite arms as well. But again, Westbrook found a way. Really exciting. Very hospitable people at Westbrook Christian.
Nice place, isn't it?
Contrary to what Colin Chamblin says, man.
My bad.
Yeah, that was the first time I'd ever been to Westbrook, man. And what a place. You said you had been there to watch him play Fayette County, I think 2 or 3 years ago.
3 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, man, what a place they've got at Westbrook, man. And the people were very nice there as well. So let's take a look at Westbrook from last week. In game 1, Emmett Daniel, Gadsden State commit. I went 5 2/3, got the win while striking out 5. He was also 3 for 4 with an RBI, and I think that was the RBI to put them ahead early, 1-0. Brody Johnson came in on the back end when that game really tightened up.
1 second. Yeah, good.
Oh, that's right. Oh, and by the way, for our Westbrook Christian people, man, Colin Chamblin will be in attendance tomorrow, so he may have to go over to the central side just to video so that and if you know if you want to know what we're talking about, I had some Deshler people say, "Hey man, what were you talking about last week?" And I said, "Oh, it's all in fun." So, any of the Central people or Westbrook people want to know what we're talking about, you can chat up with Colin tomorrow when he gets over to your games. So, but yeah, Brody Johnson came in, got the save in that game 1, 10-8 win, going 1 1/3, no hits, no runs, and 3 punch outs. He also was 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. That's a Shelton State recruit. Brady Carden, man, whoo! I was really impressed with this uncommitted senior. In game 1, he was 2 for 4 with a home run, a double, and 2 RBIs. And Brady Ryan was 2 for 3 with the triple as well. That was that 10-8 win. And then in game 2, going to the top of the 7th, it was tied up at 4 apiece. And Westbrook Christian erupted for 5 runs in the 7th to break away for that final 9-4 margin of victory. Brody Johnson, after getting the save in game 1, got the ball in game 2 and just simply went out and dominated for 7 innings, giving up 5 hits and only 1 earned run with 10 strikeouts. So he got the save in game 1 and the complete game win in game 2. Brody Blevins was 2 for 4 with a bomb. Brady Carden, again, after going 2 for 4 with a home run and a double in game 1, Brady Carden went 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs. Again, that is an uncommitted bat, as is Will Chadwick. Will Chadwick was 2 for 4 with 2 doubles in game 2. Luke Thompson had 2 big hits for Westbrook in game 2. One of them was to, I think, either tie it or put Westbrook up late. I forget which one, but he had 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. And then Brady Ryan added a late home run in the 7th for that final 9-4 margin. Central Florence defeated Alexandria last week by scores of 10-2 and 5-2. That was a top 10 matchup. Central Florence gave the ball to Reed Bruce in game 1, and Reed Bruce does what he does. Went 7 innings, a complete game win. Struck out 4 and allowed those 2 earned runs over 7 innings. He also added a double at the plate. Elijah Lambert was 2 for 3 with the triple and an RBI. And Lucas Price was 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs. Brock Price was a perfect 2 for 2. And Cole Wilcoxon added a 2 RBI single in that 10-2 win. They turned around in game 2. Wilcoxon, after that 2 RBI single, got the ball. Went 6 innings on the mound, getting the win. He only gave up 1 earned run and struck out 4 in that 5-2 margin of game 2. Elijah Lambert, once again, back on it in game 2, was 3 for 3. And Brock Price and Colin Barnes each added a double for those 5 runs in that 5-2 win. This is a I'm trying to say other words because it feels like we're saying the same thing over and over for every series. But again, it's the top 10 matchup. It's number 2 on the road at number 10. That's not an easy drive either, from Rainbow City over to Florence. I'll tell you this. I walked up last week. Austin, I haven't even told you this yet. And I don't want to call anybody out, but I'm going to. All right. I walked up last week and Ricky Ray's wife, Coach Clay's wife, came up to me and she said, "Are you the one that picked us?" And I said, "Yes." I said, "It was my son that picked against you." So she said, "Well, you're welcome to be here then." She was just cutting up. But yeah, I picked Westbrook Christian last week in a huge matchup. You've got another huge matchup with an area opponent of Deshler's and an opponent that we talked about coming out of that tough area over there. Reed Bruce has been lights out in a 2-way role for Central Florence. He's going to give them a quality outing. We saw what Westbrook can do last week, and that was the weird thing. And again, I think it goes back, and I'm not trying to talk too much here, but it goes back to 2 weeks ago when Madison County limited Westbrook to 4 runs total, I believe it was. And then Westbrook turns around and scores 19 off of Deshler's arms, man. I think that tells you how good that Madison County team was as well. Reed Bruce will absolutely give them a shot. Wilcoxon in game 2, only gave up 1 earned run last week. I'm going to stay with the Warriors this week. It's going to be tough on the road. That will be another huge environment. But I think that's a Westbrook team that is – and both these teams are clicking on all cylinders. But, man, Westbrook Christian was uber impressive last week. Give me the Warriors this week again.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Westbrook Christian as well. You do what you did last week, and I think Desher came into that game with 6 losses. They were 36-6. I'm going to go with Westbrook Christian here, but and I know Coach Ricky Ray he's preaching this to his team. This is, and you hate to say this about a semifinal matchup, but don't want to say it's not the word letdown, but you come off of that huge emotional series win last week, and you're gonna have to go on the road to a Central team who finished behind Deshler in the area, and you get it could be easy to feel like we beat Deshler, we can beat Central, but this is a Central team who I think we even said if whoever came out of that area behind Deshler was going to have a real chance to make a run, and here's that Central team. They made the elite. They made the Sweet 16 last year. Got beat by Etowah, and they've built on that. And they're one of the last 4 standing. And you mentioned it with Reed Bruce being a big time piece for them. He can certainly beat you with his arm and the bat. And having to go on the road to Central in Florence, you mentioned that drive. It's this is definitely going to be another big time challenge for the Warriors. They've passed test after test in the playoffs, beating number 3 Madison County 2 weeks ago, and then beating number 1 Deshler last week. I'm going to go with Westbrook Christian here, but Central Florence is, you're going to get their best shot, and their best shot is definitely good enough to beat you. But I'm going to go with Westbrook Christian here. Just that the body of work the last 2 weeks seems like they're clicking on all cylinders. So give me Westbrook Christian.
You talked about not a letdown. Here's the bottom line. If Westbrook Christian doesn't play well, they won't win.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yep. Our next matchup in the South, we have number 5 Opp going on the road to number 4 Bibb County. Opp comes in at 27-6. Bibb County sits at 24-11. How both these teams got here with Opp last week, they swept Oak Grove, a series that I was at. Got the head down to Opp, Alabama, and was looking for the Rattlesnake Rodeo. And,
Amen.
Got to watch some good baseball down there. They won game 1 7-5 and game 2 9-6. Coach Cassidy, I think this is the first time they've reached the semifinals since 1994. So Coach Cassidy has that thing rolling for the Bobcats, and it was definitely a great environment last week. Tough place to play. The Bobcats will be on the road this week at Bibb County, another difficult place to play. For Opp, in that 7-5 win in game 1, Porter Nelson, a junior, went 7 innings, got the complete game win. He allowed 3 earned runs. He was also 2 for 3 with a pair of doubles at the plate. Parker Burgess was 2 for 2 and drove in a run. Cash Harrell in that 2-hole for the Bobcats had a big 3 RBI double, bases clearing double in the later innings to help push Opp to that game 1 win. In game 2, they won 9-6. Ty Wigington, sophomore right-handed pitcher, went 4 innings, give up 3 earned runs, and struck out 5. Cash Harrell once again was 3 for 4, hit 2 home runs, added a double and 3 RBIs for the Bobcats. Grady Patterson hitting third, had a big solo home run and a 2 for 4 effort. Him and Cash Harrell in game 2 went back to back, and it was certainly a great environment. Porter Nelson once again had a multi-hit effort, going 2 for 4 with a double and 2 RBIs, and Clay Jackson was 2 for 4. For Bibb County last week, they swept Houston Academy 10-3 and 9-2. In game 1, Braden Cash got this complete game win, went 5 innings, gave up 1 earned run and struck out 8. He was also 3 for 5 and drove in 3 runs. Ethan McMillan was 2 for 4 with a double and 4 RBIs, and Cortez Morrow and Landon Rich both had a double. In game 2, winning 9-2, Cage Watkins went 7 innings, got the complete game win, gave up 2 runs and struck out 11. Braden Cash in the leadoff spot was 2 for 4. Ethan McMillan once again was 3 for 4, had 2 doubles and 2 RBIs. Cortez Morrow was 2 for 4 with a double and 2 RBIs, and Scooter Sanders had an RBI single to push Bibb County to the 9-2 win and earn that sweep. This was a series that I teetered back and forth on. I obviously saw the Opp team last week. They're especially 1 through 5 or 6 in that lineup can really can generate runs at a premium. Porter Nelson is a really good uncommitted left-handed bat as a junior. Grady Patterson, Cash Harrell. They've got some physical hitters at the top of that order for the Bobcats. And Bibb County trying to avenge last season's runner-up finish, losing to Deschler in the state finals. They've been rolling as of late, they've beaten 3 quality teams in their first 3 rounds. They beat Tallahassee in 3 games in round 1. They beat Orange Beach on the road in 2 one-run games 2 weeks ago, and then beating a good Houston Academy team that was hot up to that point last week. And kind of in series like these where I feel like it's evenly matched, two teams that could easily win, I mostly side with the home team, and I think that's what I'm going to do this week. I'm going to go with Bibb County. I think maybe we've talked about their arms with Cash and Ethan McMillan and Cage Watkins being nails for them in the playoffs, games 1, 2, and 3. But Ops offense can generate runs, like I said, at a premium. I'm going to go with pitching here. Give me Bibb County, especially being at home. Give me the Choctaws, but was certainly impressed with Op last week. They're rolling, have had a great season. I'll go with Bibb County here and won't feel good about either side, but I'm going to go with the home team.
I'm going to go with Bibb County as well. And, I don't want to sit here and say all the same things that you just said, but I do think, Bibb County is coming off 2 rather long road trips to Orange Beach and then to Dothan. And they finally get back home. I'm sure that's what they feel like. And, this is a team that is notoriously deep in playoffs. You mentioned the state runner-up finish last year to Deschler. But I think that offensive lineup at Op can really compete against Bibb County's arms. I think I mentioned earlier, Mars Hill and Red Bay this afternoon was strength and strength. I think this is strength and strength as well. And I do want to say that, I knew that happened in the regular season. Appalachian played Addison twice and beat them. You're right, Keith. This should be a real good one, and one we're going to be anxiously watching that. But back to what I was talking about, man, that Bibb County team, those arms are, I talked to Coach Hoyle after they lost in heartbreaking fashion to Bibb County. And he said, man, those 3 arms can win a state championship. And he's exactly right. Now, will they win a state championship? I don't know. Will they win this week? I don't know. But this Op team is a team that can absolutely compete against these arms that Bibb County is going to roll out. But I'm going to go pitching this time. I'm going to go with the Choctaws in a series that I very well could be wrong in. And if so, I'll let you know. But I think we're both going to side with Bibb County here in this final 4A matchup, which jumps us right in to 5A. Let me turn this off real quick.
He's calling this week, not texting.
No, that's not him. Okay. That's not him.
One class.
All right. So we'll get straight into 5A, where, man, you've got, again, 2 more top 10 matchups. You've got number 9 in the start in the north. You've got number 9 Moody. They come in at 27-7. They will be on the road at number 2 American Christian, who come in at 34-10. Let's take a look at how both of these teams got here. Moody was able to sweep Madison Academy last week by scores of 2-1 and 3-1. And we both talked last week about those frontline arms for Moody. And and they absolutely showed out last week, holding a very good Madison Academy team to 1 run in each game. In game 1, Shelton State commit Bryant Harden, complete game, 7 innings, scattered 5 hits, 1 earned run, and struck out 3. Moody scored their only 2 runs of the game in the first, and they made it hold up. They did escape a bit of a jam in the top of the 7th. Madison Academy had 2 on and no outs in a 2-1 score, but they were able to get out of it. Moody only had 3 hits total, so really no offensive highlights. That probably sounds bad, but nobody with multiple hits or extra base hits there. But Moody was able to rely on Harden to get them through game 1, and he did exactly that, escaping that jam in the 7th to win 2-1. In game 2, they gave the ball to Gadsden State recruit J.B. Leatherwood, yet another complete game, going all 7, scattering 7 hits, 1 earned run, and 7 strikeouts. They did get a RBI double from Carter Mitchell, and 3 other players had a single. So it's like they had 7 hits total, but again, the strength of that Moody team, we talked last week, was their pitching, and they heavily relied on that. They scored just enough to win, and that's all it takes. When you get good pitching and you play good defense, then you don't have to score 10 runs to win. In Moody's case last week, they could score 2 and score 3 and win 2 games. This week, they'll be on the road at American Christian. We said they're number 2, come in at 34-10. They swept East Limestone last week by scores of 6-5 and 12-0. And we talked about that last week as well. East Limestone was an under the radar team that we said American Christian will have to play well to go in there and win.
Yeah,
and
go ahead. I was worried about AHSAA last week a little bit.
Yeah. And I believe it was 5-0 at one point. East Limestone in game 1. I know it was like 3-0. Really? But American Christian was able to come back and win that game 6-5. Drew Jackson, another win on the bump, going 5 innings, gave up 3 hits, 3 earned runs, and 9 strikeouts. BJ Garth came in the final 2 innings to get the save over those 2 innings. He gave up 3 hits, 1 earned run, and struck out 3. He also, again, he's a big-time two-way guy, went 2 for 3 with a home run and 3 RBIs. Hudson McComb was a perfect 3 for 3 with an RBI. And Hunter Elmore went 1 for 2 with the home run and RBI, which obviously had an RBI with the home run and 2 walks. Hunter Elmore was not done with his offensive exploits and on the bump. In game 2, Hunter Elmore got the ball in that 12-0 win. He went all 7 innings, getting the complete game win, giving up only 3 hits and no runs on 8 strikeouts. In game 2, Hunter Elmore added 2 more hits, and they were both home runs, giving him 4 RBIs for the game, and he walked 2 more times as well. So he walked 4 times through those 2 games. That was his 11th home run of the year. So just an incredible 2-game series for Hunter Elmore. And you got BJ Garth matching, right there with Hunter Elmore in his production over those 2 games after getting the save in game 1 and having a home run and 3 RBIs in game 1. Garth hit another home run as one of his 3 hits with 2 RBIs. Caleb McCausland, 2 for 3 with an RBI. Jalen Crocker was 2 for 3 with a home run and 2 RBIs. Britton Taft and Hudson McComb each had a double. Taft's was an RBI double. And then Clayton Rice had a home run and 2 RBIs as well. So I think that was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 home runs in game 2 in that 12-0 matchup. Said it before, we'll say it again. It's strength versus strength. You've got the Moody arms. You've got the AHSAA offensive lineup. It's strength versus strength. Do I think that Moody can absolutely shut down American Christian? I don't know of any pitching staff in the state. Now, 1 game, yes, you can shut someone down. I don't know. Let me rephrase that. It will be very difficult to shut this American Christian offensive lineup down. All right. But I do think that Moody's got the arms that can absolutely keep them at bay and keep them at 2, 3, 4 runs, somewhere in that nature. Leatherwood and Harden have proven it time and time again every single week of just absolutely shutting down opposing lineups. This will probably be the most difficult offensive lineup they face so far. I don't think there's any probably to it. It will be the difficult offensive lineup they've met. It is strength. It is strength versus strength. But I think what might separate the 2 teams in this series is American Christian's going to be able to pitch it as well. They've got other arms we haven't talked about that we didn't mention, from last week. Caleb McCausland, Jalen Crocker, some other arms there as well. Listen, this Moody team has done a great job, and this Moody team may sweep American Christian for all I know. I don't know what's going to happen, but this American Christian team has been they've been on a mission all year long. All right. Same as they were last year. It's a very complete team, and I'm going to go with American Christian. But again, it's not going to be easy. All right, Moody can pitch it and defend. All right, how many runs can Moody match the offensive production that American Christian may be able to produce this week? So again, I'm gonna be quiet. Give me American Christian.
I'm going to go American Christian too. I think, last year they won the state championship, but I think the one knack you could say against American Christian was maybe they didn't have the pitching depth. Now they had guys who could get them 6 or 7 innings and not have to worry about having to go to the bullpen. After talking with them in the kickoff classic earlier in the season and just following them along, it seems like they've definitely added depth to that, and they've got a real game one starter in Drew Jackson, who has been lights out for the majority of his sophomore season, and that's the thing too. Most of these players that you're talking about are pretty much all sophomores, with Jackson and Drew, B.J. Garth, Hunter Elmore, Caleb McCausland, but then you add in the senior leadership, Jalen Crocker, Clayton Rice. It's a mixed bag of underclassmen and upperclassmen, but they're all experienced. This is a good majority of this team comes back from last year's state title team. You talked about Moody and the arms that they have. Bryton Harden is pitching as good as anyone right now in the state. JB Leatherwood has also been lights out for the majority of his senior season. I think AHSAA does just enough on the mound. I think they hold them to just enough runs, and I think they score just enough runs off of the talented arms that Moody's going to roll out. I'm going to go with AHSAA as they continue to defend their state championship in 5A. But this will be the toughest test for AHSAA up to this point. I think it's safe to say with this Moody team, who has been inside our top 10 all year long, we've been high on them, and we know that the arms that they're going to roll out, and they can score runs as well. But I'll go with American Christian as well, and we'll see how it unfolds this week. Our next matchup in the 5A, we move to the South, where we have number 6 Briarwood Christian heading on the road to top-ranked Faith Academy. Briarwood Christian enters at 28-9. Faith Academy is 27-7. How these teams got here last week for Briarwood Christian, they swept Elmore County 4-0 and 8-0. That was the series that I was able to be at. They used just 2 arms and had 2 dominant performances on the mound for Briarwood Christian. In game 1, winning 4-0, Houston Hartsfield got the complete game shutout. He went 7 innings, no runs, struck out 8. Jamison Barnes, sophomore catcher, added a double. Parker Daniels had a 2 RBI double to start that scoring, I think, in the first inning. And then they had 4 other players up and down that lineup who had a single. In game 2, they gave the ball to sophomore right-handed pitcher Ivan Hand, one of the top sophomore pitchers in the state. And he was about as dominant as it got across the state last week. He went 6 innings in the 6-0 win. He gave up just 1 hit, no runs, no walks, and 12 strikeouts. And that 1 hit was a weakly hit infield single to second base, where it was a bang play at first. He was safe, but just a few inches away from some pretty special stuff, but dominant stuff nonetheless. He was up to 90. Jamison Barnes, once again, sophomore catcher, was 2 for 3 with a double and drove in 4 runs, and then 5 other players had a single for the Lions. For Faith Academy last week, had that pegged as we kind of hit that right on that series right on the head. That was number 1 versus number 3. Faith Academy was obviously able to sweep Demopolis 2-0 and 2-1 in 9 innings in game 2.
So how many runs did these 2 teams give up combined this past week?
Give up 1 run. 1 run. In game 1, Auburn commit Brody Wilson went 6 2/3, obviously getting the win. He allowed 3 hits, no runs, struck out 12. Braden Wright was 2 for 3, and Eli Quinley had a big RBI triple to pace them to that 2-0 win. In game 2, winning 2-1 in 9 innings, Christian Freeman went 8 innings, got the win. He gave up 4 hits, 1 earned run, and 9 strikeouts. And then in the 9th, they gave the ball to freshman Lathan Bodie, who got the final 3 outs, earning the save. He allowed just 1 hit, gave up no runs, no walks, and struck out 1. Eli Quinley was 2 for 4 with a double, and Colin Hall had a triple. They scored in the top of the 9th on a bunt.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
They scored their 1 run in the top of the 9th on a bunt, and in the bottom of the 9th, Demopoulos had bases loaded with no outs, and Latham Bodie got a strikeout and a line drive double play to end it. That was a game we were both following on Game Changer. I know a lot of people were. That was a high profile matchup, and certainly lived up to the billing. So big series sweep for Faith Academy. I think both of these teams really lean on their pitching. You talked about it across the 4 games for both of these teams. Just 1 run given up, and that was in a 9-inning contest. I'm going to go with Faith Academy here, at being at home, and just the combination of Brody Wilson and Christian Freeman are about as good as it get across the state. Both arms can work into the low 90s, but then you look at for Briarwood Christian, senior left-handed pitcher, senior left-handed pitcher who can really pitch, held that talented Elmore County lineup that had really been reeling as of late to no runs, and then Ivan Hand was masterful on the mound. I think Faith Academy just does just enough this week again to advance to the state finals against a Briarwood team that could certainly go on the road and win this series. This is going to be another big time matchup for Faith Academy, but I'm going to go with the top ranked Rams to win 2 out of 3 here at home. Give me Faith Academy, and listen, again, we're able to look ahead, and I think we said it in week 1 of the season, the potential 5A state championship series. Now, both teams are going to have their hands full this week. Both teams could lose this week, but I'll go Faith Academy.
I like Briarwood a lot, man. We talked about it last week. For whatever reason, we don't get into speculation. Ivan Hand was not throwing some of the season. We don't probably shut down for whatever reason, arm. I don't know.
It wasn't any kind of, it was good. It was no like crazy injury.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah. And again, he's young, man. He's young. So you got to be careful with him. And they've worked him back into a starter's role. And obviously, he has built up his pitch count, and they've got him back at the right time when they need him. And he is a formidable arm on the mound, and that's not all he can do. He can always bang the ball around the yard a little bit as well. I don't want to jinx this series, but I don't see many runs being scored. Hartsfield obviously shut out, complete game shutout in game 1 last week. We've talked ad nauseum about the Faith Academy arms all year long. This is what Final Four baseball is about. This is, I would be crazy to think that that somebody's going to score 11 or 10 runs in a game. I mean, this is going to be like, where it's going to, I would highly suspect, if somebody gets somebody on in the first inning, it could be a sack bunt situation in the first inning. You don't like to give runs away or give outs away in the first inning. But I haven't talked to either one of these coaches, but I would assume they're going in knowing, how can we get to 3 runs? If we get to 3 runs, we like our chances with our arms. So I think both of these teams are going to take every opportunity to score at, if it's the first inning, third inning, whatever the situation is going to call to manufacture a run. I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going to go with the Rams as well. And like I've said, you hate to pick against anybody here, but, Faith has been up there, 1 or 2 all year long. Briarwood Christian's been right in the middle of our rankings, but I think that judging by what you saw and judging by what we've seen, I think Briarwood's playing very well right now, can absolutely win this series, but slightest of margins. Just maybe able to score maybe a run or 2 more. Don't know that. I'm going to go with Faith Academy this week in the South in 5A. So we'll jump right into 6A, and I will go ahead and say this out loud. All right. This is the one classification that I have not made a pick up to this point in either one of these games, because I am not sure about either one. I'm gonna make my pick live right here on the show because I'm not sure which way I'm going. You've got 4 absolutely heavyweight programs in the Final Four in 6A. Up north, you've got number 7 Hazel Green. They come in at 33-11. The Trojans were able to take 2 of 3 from Homewood last week. They won game 1 4-1, lost game 2 6-4, and then were able to win that deciding game 3 by a score of 8-4. This has been a Hazel Green team that we've talked about all year long. This has been a Hazel Green team that we have talked about all year long. Let's talk about them this past week. In game 1, Colton Clark was Colton Clark. 6 1/3 on the mound, getting the win, scattering 4 hits with 1 earned run and 8 strikeouts. Andrew Beaverson had an early bomb, a 2-run home run that put Hazel Green up early in that 4-1 game 1 win. Ty Hunter, I think, I know he had a triple. I think it was early in the game as well. A left-handed hitter, left-handed arm on the mound for Hazel Green as well. And then 2 other players had a single in that game 1 win. Hazel Green made the most of their 4 hits that they have. But again, timely hitting is what it's all about in the playoffs when you're facing elite arms and elite teams. In game 2, we talked about they dropped that 6-4 decision to Homewood and were able to respond in game 3. Andrew Beaverson, after that bomb in game 1, was able to he went 3 2/3 innings pitched in relief in game 3. Only gave up 2 hits, no runs, no walks, 6 strikeouts. He also had a single and 2 RBIs. Beaverson, like we mentioned with Hand from Briarwood Christian in 5A, Beaverson has been a guy that Hazel Green has worked back into their pitching rotation, and he's now obviously you saw he threw 3 2/3 last week. His pitch count, they've got it up to where he needs to be. He can give them quality innings, either out of the pen or starting games. Second baseman Jackson Crippen was 2 for 3. Lakin Swain continues to swing a hot bat. He was 2 for 4. Colby Atkins was 2 for 3 with an RBI double. And then Colton Clark, after his game 1 exploits on the mound, had a 2-run homer in that 8-4 win, which advanced Hazel Green to the Final Four, where they will be on the road at number 8. So you've got number 7 versus number 8 Hartselle. Hartselle comes in at 29-11. Again, that number 8 ranking after going on the road and beating Pell City 2-1 and 13-5. We'll talk about that, or we'll talk about that in just a second. But I do want to say, at one point, Hazel Green this season was 11-11, and they have won 18 straight games to get to 29-11. And, that's a testament to that. And they don't play a bunch of ragtag teams that you should beat. They play some teams. They play a very, very tough schedule. So obviously this Hartselle team swept, part of that 18-game winning streak was a 2-game sweep last week over Pell City. I tell you, Hartselle has been in 2 epic game 1s the last 2 weeks, winning very tight games. They beat Pell City 2-1 in game 1, and then they were able to win game 2 13-5. In game 1, Hartselle trailed 1-0, and they scored 2 in the top of the 7th. Carter Lee had a game-tying single in the 7th, and then Sam Gillette had a go-ahead sac fly that proved to be the difference in that 2-1 win. Barrett McKelvey, 2028 arm, went 5 innings with 2 hits, 1 earned run, and 5 strikeouts. Asher Dopel came in and threw the 6th and the 7th inning, getting the win in relief. He gave up no hits, no runs, no walks, and struck out 3. He was also 2 for 4 at the plate. And Carter Lee, as we talked about with that game-tying single, he added another hit on the day, finishing up 2 for 3. In game 2, Connor Stiles went 4 2/3 on the mound, getting the win. He gave up 4 hits and 3 earned runs. Cruz Baker, Shelton State commit, was 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs. Cole Miles. Stiles is going to, is it Itawamba? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cole Miles, Jack State recruit, was 2 for 3 with the triple and an RBI. Cole Griffin was 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs. And Carter Lee, yet again, 2 for 3 with an RBI. There's not much more that needs to be said for this series. I will say that these two teams have played during the season. And again, we don't put a lot of stock into this because this is a long time ago, but these two teams split 2 games this year. February 24th, Hazel Green won 7-6, and on March the 6th, Hartselle won 13-7. This is listen, and we've talked 7A all year long about how deep it is, but these are two teams that we've had pegged all year as possible state title contenders. Obviously, Hartselle's coming off that blue map run last year, winning it in 6A. To add fuel to the fire, if you know where Coach Brad Phillips graduated high school, it was none other than Hazel Green High School. So that adds a little bit more fuel to this, that Coach Phillips will be coaching against his alma mater in this Final Four. Man, this is a toss-up. And like I said, I have not made my pick yet because we have said it from day one. And I think it goes without saying that every single year, Hartselle is going to be a formidable opponent every year. Okay. I mean, they're not going to state championship every year. They're not going to make it to the Final Four every year. But Hartselle's a name. I think I saw this is their 23rd Final Four. It's the most in the state. I think GW Long has 22. This Hartselle is a name synonymous with deep playoff runs. Hazel Green is as good as anybody in the state. I mean, they are. You've got 4 teams. You'll talk about those 2 in the South in just a minute. These 4 teams are all capable of winning it. And I still don't know who I'm going to go with, but I've got to make a prediction here. I'm going with, and this is a series that I will be at on Thursday. I'm going to go with the Tigers of Hartselle. Now, I've picked Hazel Green to win every week. I've picked Hartselle to win every week. So I've got to go against somebody that I don't want to go against. But I'm going to go Hartselle this week. I think that home field advantage may play a role here. Give me the Tigers, and I don't know why, but I'm going to go Hartselle.
I'll go Hartselle as well. Being at home, I think too, is a big boost for Hartselle. That's going to be a big time playoff atmosphere. This is again just another 50-50 series where you toss up and just roll with what team you pick, and just that 18 game winning streak is loud for Hartselle. Obviously, that last loss, they haven't lost since March 26th. And that was to out-of-state Farragut. They were 11-11 at that point. They're now 29-11 and playing as hot as anybody in the state. But so is Hazel Green. I picked Homewood last week, and Hazel Green proved me wrong, and very well could prove me wrong. Could prove both of us wrong this week. Give me Hartselle. Give me the Tigers to roll to another 6A state championship. So that'll be a fun one to be at. This one will also be a fun one to be at. You've got number 1, top-ranked Northridge going on the road to second-ranked Spain Park. Both these two teams come in with a combined 71 wins. Northridge is 34-7. Spain Park is 33-8. These two teams have been the top 2 dominant teams in the state all year long. They've run the gauntlet wire to wire, and this is going to be a big time series taking place at Spain Park this week. How both these teams got here last week for Northridge, they swept Chelsea 8-1 and 9-3, and we talked about the pitching depth in that series on both sides, and for Northridge to be able to score 17 runs in 2 games against those Chelsea Arms was really impressive, and just speaks to how well that they're playing on both sides. In game 1, winning 8-1, Evan Malone, Alabama recruit, went 7 innings, gave up 2 hits, no earned runs, and struck out 8. Charlie Wilson was 2 for 2 and drove in 2 runs, and Cooper Obradovich had a single and drove in 3 runs. In game 2, winning 9-3, Evan Champion went 3 innings, gave up 4 hits, 3 earned runs, and struck out 4. And then Adam Hall coming in relief out of the bullpen delivered another big-time outing. Throwing the final 4 innings, he gave up just 1 hit and allowed no runs while striking out 3. Sophomore John Pruitt added 2 hits, as did Grayson Cannon, and Charlie Wilson, Ellis Tucker, and Ford Cole each had a single and 2 RBIs for the Jags. For Spain Park last week, they went down south to Gulf Shores. One game won 3-1 on Thursday, 3-1. No, it was Friday. One game won 3-1 at the Gulf Shore Sportsplex. Moved games 2 and 3 to Orange Beach Sportsplex. They dropped game 2 2-1 in a thriller in game 2, and then turned around in the deciding game 3 and really took command of that series and won 13-0 in 5 innings. For Spain Park, these are both the Jags. For Spain Park, in that game 1 win, winning 3-1, Houston Holmes went 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, no earned runs, and struck out 4. Carson Weidman came in on the back end in that 7th inning and got the final 3 outs. Leadoff hitter Connor Grebb, Auburn recruit, was 3 for 3, had a triple and drove in a run. Evan Taylor continues his hot streak. He added a 2 RBI double, and then Brody Bragg and Joe Cross each had a double for Spain Park. In game, mentioned they lost game 2 2-1, and then in game 3, Connor Dabbs went 4 innings, gave up 2 hits, no runs, and no walks. Reese Jones, UAB commit, went 2 for 2 and had 2 RBIs and 2 walks. Michael Johnson was 3 for 4 with 2 doubles and 5 RBIs, and sophomore Barrett Price had a 2 RBI double to lead them to that 13-0 win. This is about as good as I pegged the GW Long Ayrton series as one of, if not the top series in the state. And looking at these 2 teams, this probably takes the cake over that series. I'm gonna go with Northridge. I'm gonna go with the top ranked Jags to go on the road to Spain Park. Another series where you don't feel good about any side, picking any side, because the other side is just as good. This is the epitome of what high school baseball playoffs should be in the state of Alabama. These 2 teams, and even these 4 teams really meeting up for a chance to go play for a state championship is about as good as it gets, and it's one of the main reasons why I love my job, and I love doing what I get to do. And I'm sure you would say the same thing. Is these two series in 6A. So I'll go with Northridge and see how it unfolds.
As I mentioned, I haven't made a pick in either one of these 6A selections, and I have picked all 4 of these teams. And same as you, we've picked them to ride the whole way. We've picked them every week. So I've got to pick against somebody here. I only have one request. Here's my only request: that this game goes to a game 3, because unfortunately I can't get there on Friday, I don't think, but I can get there on Saturday. So in a perfect world, on Saturday, Spain Park and Northridge, I think they play at like 1 o'clock if there's an if necessary game. And then on Saturday night at 6, if Hewitt and Thompson go to a game 3, that's at 6 o'clock. So I asked both of these series to make it to 3 games so I can get there on Saturday. And again, I don't know about my plans on Friday anyway, but Saturday would work perfect for me. And you know what? This one has the makings of going 3 games. You mentioned it. They've been up at the top all year long. Spain Park has, we've talked about them all year. Both these teams have been ranked all year long. I think both of them maybe started in the 7-8 range, somewhere in there.
Northridge was 7. I think Spain Park was like 5.
Yeah, but they both quickly ascended up the rankings as we saw them. Obviously, we saw them both. All 4 of these teams were at our kickoff classic. We saw all 4 of them. That's Hartselle, Hazel Green, Spain Park, and Northridge at the kickoff classic. All 4 of them will be there again next year. That's why you schedule those tough games. You want to see what your team is made of.
Mm-hmm.
I've put my pick off, but for none other reason than just to split it, because both these coaches, Coach Metters and Coach Smith, are good friends of mine. We know a lot of these players on both these teams. I think I'm going to go. I'm going to go with Spain Park simply because, number one, Spain Park can win this. Northridge can win it. Absolutely, it's a toss-up. But I think you and I need to split this simply because it's that type of matchup. And you can't go wrong either way, and you could go wrong. You could go wrong either way. It's 50-50, as Austin says. So we're going to split it. I'm going to go with Spain Park. Austin's going to go with Northridge for whatever reason other than just to split it. So now that gets us into 7A, where in 7A we are not complete just yet. We're still waiting on that one matchup to finish later this afternoon, but we will look at that matchup there in the north. You've got two heavyweights that have been ranked all season, and I guess they've probably been ranked in every, I don't know this, but probably every 7A poll we've ever done in the last 2 or 3 years, I would suspect. I don't know that. You got number 2, the Warriors of Thompson. They come in at 26-17. They swept Bob Jones last week. They won game 1 by a score of 4-3 in 8 innings. And then they jumped out early in game 2. They jumped out early in game 2 and won 7-1 in that win over Bob Jones. In game 1, you had Ashton Blair on the bump, went 7 innings. I about said complete game, but it was 8-inning game. Ashton Blair went 7 innings, getting the win. He was still the pitcher of record when they took the lead in the top of the 8th. That's how he got the win. He gave up 5 hits and 1 earned run and struck out 6. Wyatt Williams, the Alabama commit, came in the 8th inning and gave up no hits and no runs and struck out 2 of the 3 outs. But struck out 2 of the 3 outs he got there in that inning. He also, Wyatt Williams, he's known for running that fastball up in the mid-90s, but I said it last week in a group text that we were in. I'm not talking bad about his pitching whatsoever, but I don't know that he doesn't end up a hitter in the long run. That guy can absolutely smash the baseball. He went 2 for 4 with a home run and 2 RBIs in addition to getting that save in game 1. Kay Brantley was 2 for 4 with an RBI double, and Logan Watson had 2 doubles in 3 plate appearances to get that 4-3 win in 8 innings over Bob Jones. And then in game 2, Austin Barnett, UAB recruit, went 7 innings on the mound. That was a complete game. He gave up only 4 hits, 1 earned run, and struck out 11. And he also added a double. He is an outfielder when he's not on the mound. Wyatt Williams, once again, another 2 for 3 game, a double and an RBI. Ashton Blair had an RBI double. Cooper Craycraft had a 2 RBI double, and Kay Brantley got in on the scoring once again with another double, this one a 2 RBI double. Hewitt-Trussville, they come in at number 5. They are currently sit at 30-8 after going on the road and defeating Tuscaloosa County, the defending 7A state champions, in a best 2 out of 3 after dropping the first game by a score of 5-4. They were able to come back and win games 2 and 3. They won game 2 by a score of 8-0. And then won game 3 by a score of 5-2. In game 2, Florida State recruit Jace Riggin turned in a complete game masterpiece, allowing only 2 hits, no earned run, and 6 strikeouts. He also added a double and walked 3 times as well. Hudson Mitchell had a double and 3 RBIs. Taylor Alfano was 2 for 4, and Cale McIntosh had a 2 RBI single in that 8-0 win. Just dominant stuff from Riggin on the mound. In game 3, Hewitt-Trussville was able to show their pitching depth. They gave the ball to Cale McIntosh, and he turned in a complete game 7-inning, 4-hit outing. He did not give up an earned run and struck out 9. Hudson Mitchell had 2 hits and 4 at-bats. Andrew Walker was 2 for 3 with an RBI, and Sawyer Jackson was 2 for 3 with an RBI as well in that 2 out of 3 series win over Tuscaloosa County. Man, this one is, it's 2 versus 5, and for all season long, and some people probably got tired of hearing our podcasts talking about that Birmingham area into the Tuscaloosa area. We've talked about a lot of Tuscaloosa area teams, Birmingham area teams, and here's two more of them. You've got two mega powers, 7A Thompson, 7A Hewitt-Trussville going at it. Ironically enough, this will be Hewitt-Trussville's first round to be at home. They were on the road both the first and the second round. And I believe, I don't believe, I know I have been there. I know I was there last year when they played Bob Jones. That will be, and I know they've got a little video going out about getting people to the park. That will be an absolutely slammed Hewitt-Trussville high school. There was technically at the middle school. That will be that atmosphere will rival any throughout the state. But I think that you go back and you look. Home teams feed off the crowd. There's no doubt about it. But Thompson, I think, is a veteran team. Thompson going on the road at a hostile Bob Jones this past week, I think, can pay dividends for them this week. This is one that I'm not comfortable in who I'm gonna take here. What Hewitt-Trussville did last week was really impressive, and even more so after dropping that first game to come back and win games 2 and 3. Thompson, you say the same thing for them, going on the road at a nemesis in the playoffs, I guess you can say. I think I saw where Thompson and Bob Jones had played for 4 straight seasons in the playoffs, and all 4 had been in Madison. So Thompson has been on the road a lot as well over the years in the playoffs. I'm going to make my pick and be quiet because I love both of these teams, man. I'm going to go with Thompson. I'm going to go with the road team, man.
Yeah, I picked against Thompson last week and picked Bob Jones and big series win for Thompson. I'm sure they probably want me to pick against them this week because they proved me wrong. I'm going to go with Hewitt-Trussville. Give me the Huskies. It's not good to made my pick of Thompson win the state championship again.
You're just trying to cover both ends, man.
I'm falling back on that. So Thompson wins. I'll be on here next week celebrating and saying I was right. But I'll go with the Huskies. This is another series like the last one with Northridge and Spain Park where this is a good series for us to split, and we'll split it. Hewitt-Trussville is going to be, like you said, a raucous crowd, raucous environment, and they know how to pack that place out. They're used to playing in the deep rounds of the 7A playoffs. But Thompson going on the road last week at Bob Jones, which could rival what Hewitt-Trussville will bring this week. I'll go with Hewitt, and we'll both split that one. Our last matchup, like you said, has yet to be determined, but we can go ahead and talk about Central. Last week, the Red Devils took 2 out of 3 against Dothan last week. They won game 2. Won game 1 2-1, lost game 2 9-4, and then won the deciding game 3 6-3. I was able to make it over for that deciding game 3, and just another great series across the state in that game. Another great game in that game 3. In game 1, winning 2-1, Tyler Caldwell went 5 1/3. He gave up 4 hits, no earned runs, and added a single at the plate. Junior Hayden Jones went an inning and 2/3 on the mound and didn't allow a run or a walk or a hit. He struck out 2 and was also 1 for 1 at the plate with 2 walks. Cam Norton and Leland Stanford both drove in a run, while 4 other players for the Red Devils had a single. They lost game 2 9-4, and then that set the stage for the deciding game 3 on Saturday, where they won 6-3. That game was actually Dothan was actually leading. I think it was 3-1. It was 3-1 or 3-2. But Central was able to come back and tie it up at 3-3. And then in the bottom of the 6th, they pushed across 3 runs, highlighted by Jalen Carter's go-ahead RBI single to right field, and then they added another one on a bunt, and then I think a sacrifice fly to push across those 3 runs to give them some big-time insurance for the 7th. Logan Wallace gave up 3 runs, in 3 innings and struck out 3. Ashton Blankenship really came up strong out of the pen. He pitched 4 innings and didn't give up a run. Carter Gilly had a single and 2 RBIs. Cam Norton and Caps Burks both had an RBI, a single and an RBI. And then Keegan Jones was 1 for 1 with 2 walks, and Hayden Jones was 1 for 1 with 2 walks for Central Phoenix City to advance. For Enterprise and Auburn, obviously, we're going to play Game 3 today. It's recently been announced they moved that back to Troy. So they'll play at 4 o'clock at Troy. We can highlight those first 2 games that obviously talked about it earlier that I was at last night. Enterprise won 4-3. Davis Shiver was strong. He pitched 6 innings, gave up 3 earned runs. And then Lent Sawyer came in behind him and pitched 2 innings and didn't give up a run. And had 1 strikeout. Brady Kavanaugh was 2 for 3. And then
that's my fault.
Yeah, you're good. And then the Wildcats only had just 3 hits in the game, but were able to win 4-3. They had after a leadoff walk and then 2 straight balks, got a run into third. And then they ended up loading the bases with 1 out and had a line drive to shortstop. The shortstop made a great play on and then tried to double him off at second and unfortunately deflected off the runner and went into the outfield, and Enterprise was able to win that game. For Auburn in Game 2.
Was it Walker Turner?
Yeah, Walker Turner.
Yeah.
And then in Game 2 for Auburn, like I mentioned, they were pretty much don't want to say dead to the rights, but they were backs against the wall down to the last 6 outs. They were down 8-3. The Tigers scored 7 runs in the bottom of the 6, being the home team in that Game 2. The big swing of that inning was Angelo Santiago driving a first pitch fastball to right field for a 2 RBI single that tied it up. And then they scored the 6th run of the inning on a errant pickoff throw to first base. And then added another run to push it to 10-8, and then got 3 quick outs. Bryson Shepard was 2 for 4, had a big triple with 2 RBIs earlier in that game. Stuart Mills was a part of the big 7-run inning in the 6th. He had a pinch hit RBI single to left field, and then Jake Haney really came on strong in relief. He got the win. He pitched the final 2/3, allowed just 1 hit, no runs, no walks, and 1 strikeout. So they'll play that Game 3 today at Troy at 6 o'clock. And we can't say that if Auburn wins, it'll be Central at Auburn next week. If Enterprise wins, it'll be Enterprise at Central. So we'll give both of our picks off air. We'll settle up when that series gets finalized tonight. But yeah, we'll be following that game 3 closely on Game Changer, or the radio, whatever it is. So
yeah. No doubt, man. Well, that gets us through the round of the Final Four. We appreciate all of you jumping on. It only gets better here. I will say this about next week's show. We actually have a scout day this coming Sunday over at Jacksonville State, and then we will be hanging there for the week at the state finals next week, Monday through Friday. So we are not exactly sure when our podcast will be next week. We've got to look at schedules and all that, but we will get that out on our social media platforms. As always, this would be no fun if we're just sitting here talking to no one. We appreciate everybody getting on and listening and following their favorite teams. And, hopefully we pick your team. If we don't, it's no big deal. It'll all settle itself out this week on the field. Again, we don't care who wins. We don't know who's going to win. We do this to simply bring a limelight to high school baseball for these teams and these programs across the state. And, it's pretty easy at this time of year because it's fun. We enjoy the big crowds. We enjoy we enjoy having to get there early so we can get a vantage point to have to see to be able to get good video of the hitters. So, again, we thank you so much for jumping on. Austin, if you don't have anything else, I'm going to go ahead and
our nenext podcast probably be, I guess, Monday morning.
I would think so, probably. Yes.
And I also thought, I didn't even talk to you about this. I think it'd be fun each morning of the state finals week next week, jump on for 20 or 30 minutes, just kind of recap the previous day and look ahead to that next day. I don't know.
What, do you want me to say no in front of all these people, man? So.
Yeah. I don't know. Put you on the spot.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But we'll probably be on next Monday at some point. We'll get that out on our social media channels at what time. But again, for those of you who have teams that are still playing, best of luck. We hope to see you in Jacksonville or Oxford next week. But between now and then, we've got a lot of games to cover this week. We hope to see you there beginning this evening. And for Austin Sharp, our Alabama scouting director, I'm David Sharp, Deep South supervisor. Thanks again for jumping on, and we'll see you down the road. Thank you.